morning.
It's too
Rock.
It's too early.
Get up at 6 in the morning and let your head down.
Please make it stop.
Yeah, let it go. Let it go.
It's still in your head.
Yes, it is. You gotta let it go.
Because he made a joke yesterday morning in 24 hours, and the song is still in his head.
That song is a brain worm.
Well, the good news is Frozen 2 is coming out, and you can have a new
Don't
brain
talk
worm.
about that. Nah.
I'm going to make the call that people will say Frozen 2 is just as good as the movie, but the music won't be as recognizable.
For sure, right? I mean, they have years now, I think, of...
Well, not immediately, yeah. Just give it a few months.
We'll see. How many times do sequels,
That's how Disney movies
like Toy
are,
Story, everyone knows You Got a Friend in Me, but everyone forgets the Jessie song about how the girl forgot her under the bed. That one's not nearly as popular.
What movie are we talking about?
There's a
Still
song
Frozen?
about how she got forgotten under the bed?
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of ironic how you forget the song that's about her getting
It's called When She Loved Me, and I love my Disney music. But
She
anyhow.
loved me.
All righty, folks.
She loved me.
We're a little early today because we got some
Wrong
things
tune.
going on today where we're going to see some people get skewered.
Skewered?
Not skewered.
I ain't scared.
Yeah.
You're not scared yet. Alrighty, folks. So we're gonna do this. Will be a slightly shorter one, but we'll be back as time goes by on Monday, and again next week. 2 top 10 lists. But we're talking about emotion in games, or if you look at the behind Z, oceans in games.
Oceans.
How about if I just do this?
Motions in games.
Got it.
I'll just do this, folks.
Alrighty. So
It says emotions. I'm
it.
sitting.
anyhow, so talking about emotions in games. Now, games can bring forth emotions in 2 different ways. One is from the people you're playing with.
Yes.
That can encourage anger, hate, rage, happiness,
Wrath.
joy.
Why'd you start with those top
humor.
three?
Yeah, I know.
man?
It was all like it was a bunch of
like,
negative stuff. I'm like, I guess
Oh yeah, and happiness and butterflies.
but mostly absolute madness.
Discomfort. Okay, but I'm talking specifically, obviously emotions come from anything with anybody, right?
Sure, yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm talking about emotions brought forth from the game itself. And I think this is kind of a rare thing,
It is.
honestly.
I agree.
Humor is the one that games try to do the most. So a game can bring you forth funny emotions, like, oh, this is funny, either the artwork
Yeah.
or the writing, the jokes on the cards, or whatever it might
Yes.
be. Nowadays, we're trying to move to other things. The other one I would talk about would be fear or horror.
Yeah, which is a tricky one to actually inspire in people when you're playing a board game.
I really don't think that a board game can actually do that.
Right, right.
Well, when I say
actually
fear,
feel the same way about a book myself, which is why I like reading horror novels.
No, horror
but
novels
I
can
don't
scare
like
the
reading.
snot out of me.
I don't like watching horror films. I find films.
Wait till you have a head cold and then read one.
What's the difference? Is it the music?
No, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's immersion, the different immersion. I choose the immersion when I'm reading a book.
Definitely you talk about the difference between a horror movie and a horror book.
Yeah.
Definitely music. Definitely
That's a big
ambiance,
part.
noise.
If you
Sure,
watch
yeah.
a horror
Noises
movie
and
without
sounds,
music,
definitely.
it's a lot less scary.
Yeah, sure, it is.
Because it's just a person walking around a set. There's no enthrallment there.
I mean, there might be something that's scary looking, but
Well, yeah,
like
I'm
when
not-
they
I'm not
jump
talking
out
about
from behind a
jump
door,
scares
you're
and
just
stuff
like,
that. Really, dude?
what
Come
are
on.
we wearing?
So no,
you wearing?
the interesting. Oh no, I mean because of that, I think the music matters a lot. Like we're going to Halloween Horror Nights tonight, and they even play music in those,
Yeah.
Just out anywhere.
and it just
And some of it's just ambience noise. It's not
yeah,
music.
and it kind of gets your that even just that, and they just keep doing that, and even some of those lower organ notes even kind of
Make you
inspire that
uncomfortable,
make
yeah.
you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So a board game can't do that except if it uses an app.
Right.
Which is why I think Mansions of Madness comes the closest to being scary.
True.
yeah,
But it's
maybe.
not. I mean, again, I don't think it's the closest, but I've never ever felt scared playing Mansions of Madness Second
Right,
Edition.
right. Now, I do think that games do a pretty good job, especially now with a lot of writing in games, to create discomfort. I think you can feel uncomfortable playing a game. I don't think I'm ever scared necessarily, but they now with so many story-driven and immersive games, you can be in a setting, read some flavor text, sort of, they find a way to put you in a setting, in a world where you feel uncomfortable existing in that world. And I think that's been done pretty well, actually. You know, we were just playing the other day live, actually, the Oathsworn game. That's what it's called, right? Or,
Yes.
And I thought that was a very gritty fantasy setting, that the writing was in that game was really good, and it put me in that world.
And it might have done
And
even
it was
more so.
morbid, and it was sort of grimy, and that was immersive. I thought that did a good job of eliciting those emotions.
It might have even done more so had we listened to the actual reading. I don't know if there's music or not in the background. And
right, exactly.
And that kind of helps, or ambient noises. And they actually make these things now. You can. I've been talking about this on Board Game Breakfast. There are playlists that you can play in the background of games. I know you hate music in the background of games, but
Some of them are really bad, though. They're like MIDI files. On
no. I'm saying you can go down. There's people made a website. Like you type in the name of the game, and it'll have a Spotify playlist for you of music that matches that game.
Okay.
Like this is more me. If I play a game with the good, the bad, and the ugly theme in the background of Western, it gets me in the mood.
Sure.
Yeah, or if you're playing some big war game and you have that crescendo of the orchestra, it's kind of like then there's games that have these soundtracks built in. I would say Escape definitely matters, that soundtrack in the background.
Sure, yeah.
And while that doesn't make you scared, it certainly makes you
It gives you a
nervous.
frenetic
You're like,
feeling.
we got to get out of this as fast as we can.
Sure.
So
I think the more passive emotions, though, are the ones where games are going to shine. You know, fear, elation, things like that are a little bit more. They're closer to the core, maybe. Those are going to be harder to generate.
Yes.
But things like nostalgia, I think games can manage that very well. I think a lot of games manage to make you feel nostalgic through what a game features anyway, like artwork, nostalgic writing, settings that are nostalgic, right? So some of those emotions, I think that board gaming is absolutely able to accomplish.
Well, now we're moving into board games trying to inspire a new kind of emotion, which is
Umami.
thoughtful or sadness in a sense. So we have this War of Mine. I don't think either of you played
Yeah, like
this.
a reflective mood.
Like in this War of Mine, there's some pretty horrific stuff that happens in it. You know, like for example, this is not from the board game, but it's from the video game. It's the same thing though. But I went into this. I was scrounging for food. I was starving, so I went into this house. There was an old couple there. I went in their basement, took all their food. I tried to leave. The old guy tried to stop me. I kind of pushed him out of the way, and he fell over and died.
You're a monster.
I know, right? I am a monster, and you don't feel like it's not like a video game where like da 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 da. I don't care.
Right.
The game really makes you feel like you just made. And then my character went back home and didn't do anything. He just kind of sat there in despair. He should have. Right, and that's kind of the way this game works. This War Mind, the game offers you horrific choices.
Right.
And so that game is trying to inspire that. For me, that made the game less fun.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
it's a good tool, but I'm not into a game to feel the emotion of sadness.
Right.
The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr tries to do that. Did you play that
I
one?
never have played it now, but I
You
know
played
it's,
it.
Yeah.
it's meant to be a very
I did
somber
this one last
experience.
year.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. There's a guy, this is not a spoiler. I mean, you start the game and he is on his deathbed. You are trying to keep him alive, which sounds like a fun game theme. Like, hey, keep this guy alive. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're trying to figure out his past, which is not great.
It's dark.
It is. Now, there's not a lot of these games out there. I would
Sure.
imagine we'll see one or two made a year. And it's, I don't know. I like, it's kind of weird. I can say, wow, I appreciate what you're doing. That's cool. I don't know that I want to experience that in the game myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a downer, right?
Well, do you watch like a sad movie? A movie that will be a downer?
Not usually.
Like
And I've
Schindler's
actually
List
been,
is an example of this.
I've
I think.
actually been very those kinds of movies. Sometimes we'll pull it on you at the very in the last half hour. I walk out of those angry because they lifted me up and then they slammed me back down in the last 30 minutes. That's not why I like to go watch a movie.
Right.
Sorry.
Sure, but
Marley
sometimes
and Me, I hate that movie.
Sometimes
Hate
what
it.
game?
Marley and Me. It's a
Oh,
movie.
yes.
Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate
No,
it.
I get it.
And I loved 90% of that movie, but I hate the whole thing now. because
okay.
of that.
I haven't seen it.
I don't mind that sort of thing.
I know what it's about,
I don't mind it. Like, for example, like Schindler's List or The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Those movies are not like uplifting movies at all, or Anne Frank, but I think they're important.
Those are sobering, though.
Sure, and I want my kids to.
They open your eyes
know,
to what happened.
Yes. Well, that's what this war of mine is too. It's trying to open your mind. This is what it's like. You know, we think about war, everyone shooting at each other, but there are civilians involved.
Oh, absolutely.
This is what it's like.
Yeah.
So, should you play these games maybe once in a while?
It depends what you want out of gaming or that specific session gaming. I don't think that answer necessarily needs, that question necessarily needs a single answer. This is what I want out of gaming. But if you are thinking about playing this War of Mine or Billy Kerr, what do you want out of that gaming session?
Well, I guess I want to know what I'm getting going in, right? Like when I played this War of Mine, I wasn't really sure what to expect. Now I would go in, okay, we're gonna try to win the game, right? We're gonna try to survive as long as we can. But you go in, I don't know, and I've actually stopped. I got the video game and I played it for a while and I'm done. I just can't keep doing it. Yeah. It's just too much for me.
This is one of the reasons why I and it's really kind of a paltry example, but it's one of the reasons why I read all of the introductories to all of the scenarios whenever I play Memoir 44. Because if you just play the game for the game, you can lose that connection that this is real life stuff.
Right.
This is something that really happened. These are real soldiers that really went through all of these maneuvers and all of that kind of stuff. And I like the reminder.
Right.
It's a sobering thought. And that's one of the reasons why I really like the fact that that game does that. But it leaves it. It doesn't like browbeat you with it, you know. And I think you can go too far in trying to teach or emulate something too much with the game, because you're kind of underestimating people's intelligence at that point.
Sure, but what about when it's not real life? So if I watch a movie that has a sad moment in it, but it's a fictional moment, let's say a Marvel comic universe movie, cinematic universe movie, and they come and halfway through, the character's mom dies or whatever, some emotional moment, I don't care. I'm sad at that moment.
Yeah, because...
And it doesn't matter. It's an actor. It's not real. No one died. And yet I'm still feeling sadness. A board game can do that, especially in the legacy storytelling games. I don't know that I ever feel that badly. There was a pretty strong moment, without spoiling, there's a pretty strong moment or two in Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I don't know that... Did you feel like afterwards did you feel like, wow...
A little bit. It's not like a film, though. Again, I think board gaming is less ultimately immersive as a medium than movies. Maybe I just get into a movie more. Maybe they drag me in more. I know other people who don't think that. Like my mother loves watching horror movies, and I'm like, that's terrifying. She's like, I don't get into it that much. I'm like, then why do you watch it?
Why is she?
Because she likes it. She likes to watch the horror movies, but I fall headfirst right into that whole, no, that lady is really being stalked by some psycho killer, and I'm freaking out.
Oh, you have a background in theater, so.
I don't know what it is. I just buy into a movie,
yeah.
And so she does not, and so she enjoys it at that sort of higher level. I feel that way about board games, with the very rare exceptions, where something will actually affect me. But I think a board game is much more effective at attempting to elicit those less visceral emotions. Like terror.
Well, someone here...
board game is not going to elicit terror.
One of our viewers says, Ponich engaged anyway, they said, I think the difference between a sad show or movie for me is that board games are a much more social activity with talking and stuff while we play.
Sure.
And there is that, right? In a movie, if someone starts talking, you're like, shut up. However, if I'm at home watching somewhat of a scary movie with my family, maybe we don't watch scary movies, but like a tense movie, sometimes we talk a little bit and it diffuses it, right?
Yes, right.
Like, oh man, what's going to happen now? It's just...
Absolutely, right.
Even tonight, the Hollywood Horror Night thing we're going to is a whole lot less scary because there's 1,000 other people there and we're talking the whole time.
Yes.
And you're not like, if I had to go through those haunted houses by myself, I would not.
Terrifying. Right.
No way would I walk through that by myself.
You're literally training through this, you're walking single file, you can keep your head up and see the jump scares happening to other people. So when you come around the corner and you know it's there, it doesn't scare you.
Well, it's not even just that.
less,
I'm with other people.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Like a horror movie, if I have to watch a horror movie, I want to do it with as many friends as possible with the lights on. I'm not
Newsflash.
putting on headphones and watching it at night.
You don't have to ever watch a horror movie.
Oh, you do.
You don't have
You know what I mean?
to do that.
I'm just saying that if I'm gonna watch one, my druthers is to do it in as friendly a setting, and board games is that friendly
Got
setting.
one word for you. XCOM.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't XCOM. The video game that scared the snot out of me was Doom 3.
No. XCOM was
Doom
much
3 was the
worse.
one where you could only hold the flashlight or the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not okay. Find some.
I
tape
never
on that.
played Doom 3. I never played Doom 3.
Yeah,
That
Doom 3
that
was like.
not cool.
But
I
even
hate-
XCOM, even
that's
the-
another thing I hate. I might hate that more than scary movies. Scary video games. Oh my goodness! Because I played a little bit of that Doom.
Because it's happening
game.
to you.
Yeah, but even also, this is a stupid thing. I can't turn around quickly enough in a video game when it's scary. You know what I mean? Like if I hear something in real life, I'm like, bam, I'm there. You know what I mean? In a video game, I'm like, oh no. You know,
Go slow-mo.
I can't deal with that. So no, video games are an absolute
you-
scary
Caitlin,
ones. Or no.
here's the thing.
You can change the sensitivity.
Yeah, but then I'll overshoot.
Oh yeah. that's
Caitlin
true.
here says just wait till VR takes off. But this happened. This was like 3 or 4 years
This was a
ago.
long time
Oh,
ago.
I remember watching you guys do that.
I got the little VR box, and there was a stupid thing on the phone, and it was just like a scary room.
This is like the middle of the day, by the way.
Right.
This
And
was
so we
not-
put the glasses on, and we put headphones on, and I almost threw the phone across the room. I was so freaked out, and Sam's laughing because he doesn't remember. He also jumped at it too.
I'm sure I did, but it's fun to watch people do that.
Yeah, but see, when I'm that immersed, so a board game is a lot easier because we're all at the table. I'm never so. I can always stop, go to the bathroom, and the game pauses. You know what I mean? There's never that whole.
Well, technically, you could, in the middle of the VR thing, stop and go to the bathroom as well, without
Definitely,
even taking
I
the
wouldn't-
goggles off.
Since you're going through like scary houses,
They scare you
What is
enough.
wrong with you?
They scare you enough. That'll happen, man.
I'm just saying, yeah, you might not want to go to the bathroom in the middle of one of these haunted mansion things tonight. You know, wait till you're out.
Thank you, Dad.
Just making sure they're just actors.
Could be a defense mechanism, though. So
Ah!
So, yeah, and again, I remember you mentioned XCOM. That's just sprites.
yeah.
But you would hear a door open.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, where did that
Yes.
door open?
Sure,
Exactly.
Right.
And even I think board games can do that a little bit in a very limited way. Robinson Crusoe. You take a card, stick it in a deck. I'm like, oh man, when's that card going to come out again?
Well, again, I think
that's
a board
very
game
minor
can
thing.
very easily create tension.
Just
And I
not-
think again,
just
the
not true fear.
Right, it's not the really visceral stuff, you know, but tension or panic a little bit. Some of the other ones, like I said, nostalgic feelings, and even just a general sense of relaxation. And I mean, there are some games that are very soothing, and I think that's a nice emotion to experience. Not a lot of games are very soothing, but there are a few that are a good way to, you know, disengage from a hectic day at work or something like that. You can set that up, you can play, and it's very relaxing.
Yep.
The other spectrum of the scale is harder to achieve in a board game. But definitely tension, an escape temple, or you know, getting out of one of the escape the room type games with a countdown clock on the table. That'll create some nice tension.
Rolling doubles for
Yeah,
the
but
third
interestingly
time in
enough,
Monopoly.
if you
That's
have
tense.
if
You're
you
going to jail.
have a game that has this kind of tenseness to it, when you overcome that, though, the feeling is amazing. Like, the first time I beat Ghost Stories, it was like, what have we done?
I agree. Yeah.
And, you know, stand-up moments of just joy. And again, that's why I like with board games, because you're not doing it by yourself. Like, sometimes I'll do a video game and I beat it, I'm like, yes! I'll go tell my wife, and I can tell that she doesn't care, mostly because she says,
I don't,
don't
care.
no, she doesn't. She'll be like, that's nice.
Exactly.
Which is the same thing, right? But when you're playing a board game, everyone's invested and you win, everyone's like, yes! And it just feels good.
Right.
And we still remember those moments.
Right.
Like, hey, remember that one time?
I think a board game is very good at creating moments of surprise. You know, like especially legacy games. We were talking about that, opening something new. I mean, like, what now?
Yep.
What did we just get?
Right.
You know, reading a book and flipping the page and seeing a new encounter. It happens in even games that are supposed to be about terror, right? Like all the Cthulhu games, the scary part really does not come from a place of terror. It comes from any emotion spike you feel probably comes from a place of surprise, right? Like, I'm about to kill that monster. I'm gonna roll these dice, double ones. What did he do again? You know what I mean? That.
Oh, yeah, I
It's
do.
those
Or if
spikes
there's
in
that
like
card deck.
surprising moments.
A card deck and you pull a card and you've never seen it before and you're like, wait, what?
And like some horrible illustration and you're like, oh, I'm dead. You know, that. Those moments, I think, are as close as you get to real terror, right? Now, I know that
That's why
a
I think
game
an app
like.
helps so much.
What's that?
That's why I think an app helps so much.
It does,
Because it can hide
sure.
stuff better than a game can.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I know one of my favorite games, The Others, is a game that they rang that bell a lot. This is a true horror game, and for a long time I was just not understanding what that meant, and I was like, this isn't really. I mean, this game doesn't. I don't feel scared playing this game. What does that mean? So I finally read something that Eric Lang, the designer, put or said somewhere, and the gist of it is, it's horror because the theme is horrific. It's supposed to inspire horror because you are always on a knife's edge between losing and winning, and the situation should be, oh my goodness, I might fail. That's the idea. That's what he was going for. It's balanced to the point that at any point you could tip the wrong way. And I could see that. I could see that having to be, for a board game, the thing that inspires horror. But it's not going to be jump scares. It's just a different delivery system for feeling scared. It won't work unless, again, it's an app or something. That's different.
Now, the other thing that we talked about horror, we talked about sadness, and that's usually intentional on the game designer's part.
Yeah.
Other emotions a game can bring is unintentional, anger, joy at the game itself.
Sure.
Anger can be because the game stinks. That's not necessarily the game itself.
Or
it's the
game's not
experience.
balanced, or game's too difficult.
But you can also, you can be angry because you were doing
feel-
well. I know I've played games before where, like, as a co-op game, we're like, hey, I think we might win. And then you turn a card over and it says, reset everything.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
your favorite.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely inspires some emotions.
And then a trader game provides that.
It does, and that's a big one, honestly. I think trader games are probably one of the best delivery systems for emotions in board gaming, but again, it's from the players. I think that might step a toe into
I don't know.
what we were saying
Sure, but
earlier.
the game itself is providing that.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing. That's one of the reasons why I always play Shadows over Camelot, where we know there's a traitor there.
Right.
Because one of the most, and I've actually felt this before because we've played it where there could or could not be a traitor, and it turns out that there wasn't, and that was such a defeating feeling at the end of that game.
I don't know.
To know
I
that
like
we kicked ourselves in the foot, thinking that there is definitely a traitor. We overthought everything, and that was such a disappointment.
Yeah, but I feel the tension when I know there's a traitor and there's 4 people, and it seems like we're all getting along pretty well, and I know
Yes.
someone is lying to me, and it really bugs me, and I don't know who it is.
I think I like
Right.
the possibility of a traitor more than I like a guaranteed traitor. I don't know. I think I
Because
find
he
that
is the traitor.
No, I
it's
just
because
like
he
that.
wants that out.
I feel like that's more tense because exactly there is that possibility no one's a traitor.
Yeah, but I
and
don't-
so I have not
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not just nervous. I have doubt, and I'm thinking somebody's likely a traitor. Why is no one behaving like a traitor? Am I wrong? You start doubting yourself, right? That's interesting to me. If I know there's a traitor and I know I'm not it, someone's a traitor. And to be honest, if the game allowed for it, I wouldn't be going off and slapping a dragon. I'd be cornering all these people and be like, are you a traitor? I'm slowly drawing my sword. Are you a traitor? So, but the possibility that I'm the crazy one imagining a traitor, that's interesting to me. I like that the best.
I don't know that I like experiencing that. I guess there's two levels of tension. From your point of view, I can see that would be a deeper level of tension than I know somebody at this table is the bad guy. I just don't know who it is.
Sure, yeah. I mean, they're both valid. I just like the possibility of it maybe not.
Yeah.
And we start accusing each other, right? It creates that discord, and then there was no reason for it.
I've also kind of looked at it this way as far as emotions in games. I know there are games out there that are more prone to elicit feelings of anger within me through basic, whatever we might be doing in the game, or different game mechanisms like take that games. I usually don't like.
Sure.
Because when your thing is, I'm just going to hurt you just because I can, that rubs me the wrong way. And
Right.
so I try to stay away from those kinds of games that I know are going to push me toward that edge.
Well, Justin points out here, he says, Twilight Imperium evokes strong emotions, both from the social aspect of the game, but more from the time investment. People tend to get more salty when the 5-hour plan fails in an action card. And I agree that the length of time you play a game gets you more emotionally invested, which is why Pandemic Legacy, we were playing over a long period of time. Like, if I bring out a character in a game and, let's say it's that stupid game dungeon quest, and I move through and I die right away. I'm like, my character died. But if your character, if it's something you build up in and something happens to that character, or if,
there's investment there.
like we play Family
like
Business.
You said, the Marley and Me. What if that movie had been 4 hours and they only pull that out in the last 30 minutes? Now it's like much. You've invested much more time.
Well, like
into
a TV series.
an experience.
After a
that,
whole season, the main character gets killed at the end. You're like, oh.
Right. Exactly.
In a movie, they get killed in the first 5 minutes. You're like,
You weren't invested in that person.
There is a TV show that, and I'm not going to say which one it is, but I followed it. I wouldn't say religiously, but I did my best to watch every single episode every single week. They killed my favorite character. I couldn't care less if I watched that show anymore.
Duck Dynasty. I have no idea.
You realize that's a reality TV show. Somebody dies on that show, it's real.
No, not the duck.
Why would that be my favorite character?
well, thank you all for.
Well,
Let me just quick go over a few comments before we
All right,
shut
what
down.
do we got?
Let's see. If a game's too long, the emotional investment goes out the window. Yeah,
Okay,
that's true
maybe.
too.
Well, there's a
if
point
you
at
play
which
it
you
too
don't
long,
care anymore. You're like,
I don't
even
care.
Please kill me.
Oh, you killed me?
I want to
Sure,
be go.
I want out. Yeah.
I want out. Yeah.
The only emotion I don't like, says Robin, in games are ones that provoke anger at specific players, ones that make players act deliberately mean-spirited and screw over other players.
So take that style games, yeah.
Or I guess that might be talking about traitor games as well.
Sure.
But
Oh, that's interesting. Someone said when they play Spyfall, they sometimes deal out a dummy player, so there's a chance that no one is the spy.
I don't like that.
I don't understand what a dummy player. What's
Well,
that?
you give out all the cards,
an
right?
extra set. An extra set just sits there.
An extra
that
card's
might
there.
be the blank one.
That's interesting. I have to try that sometime.
Please don't try it with me in the game.
That's interesting, yeah, because again, it creates that feeling I was talking about in Shadows.
Wait a minute. That's a variant that comes in the rule book.
Well, that's fine. I've never played it, though.
This guy made it up.
No, that's a variant that comes in the rule book.
No.
Yeah. No, they actually say that you can do that. It's funny, to pull the wool over everybody's eyes. And
Again, it's that possibility of everyone knows where we are. I like that feeling.
It's interesting. Someone mentioned here, and this is, I don't care if this is a spoiler at this point because too bad, but in Final Fantasy VII, which came out like...
Whoa.
No, it came out 25 years ago. Get over it.
I just bought a PS2.
You did not. Anyway,
I
one
hate
of
this
the
game anyway.
one of the main characters dies.
Is it Cloud?
Like halfway through the game. No. Anyway, it's like a big emotional moment in games,
Cloud.
right?
Cloud?
But it's
I
only...
think his name's Cloud.
There's a dude named
My word! It's only...
games that elicit anger.
And it's only an emotional moment the first time. The second time I played through that game, that character, I didn't level them up. I didn't give them anything at all. I get to the point they're like dying. I'm like, oh, all right, move on. No, but I mean, in a board game, that's the same thing. You can only pull off a stunt once.
Yeah, well, I mean, he named his character Who Cares?
I think you can if it's brought about by a specific storytelling in the game, but if it's player generated, you can do it multiple times, like a trader.
Yes, right. But if it's a story-driven game, like a legacy game, and you know what I'm talking about, there's a few things in the legacy game. Like, if I had to go back and play through Pandemic Legacy Season 1 and 2,
Why would you?
I could forget a lot of the stuff. But there's some really key moments I would not forget.
Like what? You're spoiling everything else.
I'm spoiling. All right.
Final Fantasy VII? I mean, come on, dude.
I know.
Why don't you tell me what happened in
Alrighty.
Avatar?
Well, that's emotions in games.
Smurfs TV card.
Alrighty. Well, it's the weekend. We got reviews and stuff that's going up all weekend long, so you'll see that stuff. Some of it's going up today. Come back next week. The first live thing we have is a game in which a lot of fun people will be playing with Z. He's playing a solo game, the way he likes it, on Monday.
I'm feeling emotions right now.
All by myself.
You're gonna lose.
You're gonna be all by yourself.
Anyhow, so that's coming up, and then next week we got all kinds of stuff. So keep an eye out for that. Dice Tower East registration's live now. Go sign up. Come out to our con. You see all these great games we're playing and talking about. They're going to be in the library there. So Essen, also 2 weeks from yesterday. We'll see you then. Until then, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Thanks, everybody.
The sad one. I'm Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks. Take care.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas, for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.